Hey guys, this is Merrick. I'm obviously not live right now. It's recorded. So this is kind of a different video than the ones that I normally do. This isn't like obviously a stream archive or a haha funny video or like a little informative review on some random thing that I got related to my other hobbies. But this is just like a sort of chat thing. So I'm kind of like serious Merrick right now because it kind of comes up when I say that, but right now I'm a little bit serious because it is kind of like a sort of related to not this, just like related to something that happened last night, and it's kind of sort of bugged me and like a nothing like bugged me and like I guess kind of like freaked me out a little bit at what it was. So I just kind of wanted to like sort of discuss it. So I'm not a stranger to stuff like whatchamacallit. Like I'm not a stranger to like stuff like the paranormal and shit like that. Like if you watch the streams and everything like that, you kind of get the gist that I am sort of like a very spiritual person. Like I believe in like cryptids and other shit like that because it's interesting, It's interesting to me and it gives me like a bit of that sort of thing. The ghosts, cryptids, all that cool shit, It gives our world like a bit more interest than what we kind of currently know about it. So, but other than that, it's just kind of like it's just kind of as it is, I'm just a very spiritual person, and I sort of believe in like the supernatural and stuff like that. That's it. That's just a part of me that I've sort of come to accept. Now, the thing though is that like I should just kind of point out though like to sort of preface this whole situation where I kind of stand on like sort of religion. Just sort of preface this whole scenario. Like, I am agnostic, but I lean more towards the side of there being a god than there not being a god. It's just a personal thing, I'm not trying to debate whether, like, what is right when they're, like, what theology is right. I'm not trying to debate theologies here or any sort of, like, religion here. I'm just trying to discuss, like, a thing that sort of happened because I thought it was interesting and a bit freaky, and I kind of wanted to talk about it because it did kind of freak me out a little bit. I kind of wanted to kind of share it, to like the community. So the reason why I sort of bring up that I am like religious is because it's like I said, very very spiritual, agnostic, but I lean more towards there being a god than there not being a god for, as I said, disclosed reasons. So what I'm going to talk about is related to something that happened last night. It had nothing to do with the stream. It had like mostly with me around the time I went to sleep and what I was dreaming and something that was going on like after I woke up. Very sort of freaky shit with that one. But yeah, so I'll get started on. Let me sort of preface it. So, I just want to say that the only thing that I've been doing different as of late is I have been attempting to try and lucid dream. I've looked up online how to like sort of try to coax it, i.e. like there's a mantra I've been saying like is like some along the lines of I will know that I'm dreaming tonight, and I sort of just kind of repeat that as I go to bed, sort of get my brain into the motion of thinking like, oh yeah, he's gonna know he's gonna be dreaming, so it kicks this sort of thing into motion. I don't suffer from sleep paralysis. I've never had a sleep paralysis event happen, and I honestly think I might have staved it off maybe once or twice, because like I don't know how people know that it happens. But the reason why I think I felt like I've staved it off is because at a couple points when I'm trying to go to sleep, I have felt like sort of numb, like not right numb, and don't worry, I'm in perfectly fine health, but when I say like numb, I mean like I slowly feel my body going to sleep instead of like being like this is like can't snap my fingers, but zonk and I'm out, zonk, I'm asleep now. yeah, you slowly feel your body like going to sleep, like you feel your nerves sort of like go numb, and then like it's just like you're falling asleep, but you feel it. I don't know if that's related to sleep paralysis, if that's like something else or whatever, or you're just paying too much attention to like trying to do that. But point is that I've never suffered from sleep paralysis, so this isn't sleep paralysis related, and this definitely wasn't a lucid dream. This was me awake when this happened. So I should say too that the night of the stream last night, which was Fallout 3, I honestly didn't feel like I was alone. Now, middle of the night, like actually before I think I turned the mic on, there was a knock at the door, a couple knocks, and I think that might have been the tenant. But it was like 9 o'clock-ish, so I have no clue. And other than that, like a few times, like you sometimes see like shit out the corner of your eye, but that once again that just might be like shit, like I said, from the corner of your eye. Peripheral vision, like hallucination or something like that. You just like think you see something or whoops. And another thing that kind of caught me, the window was open and I saw the curtains move and shit, so there's the wind blowing those. So I kind of thought like maybe someone was walking around in the living room in front of me, but no, it wasn't the case. But the point is that like I am sort of open to like the spirituals and like to like these sort of supernatural events and crap like that. So I kind of wanted to talk about this sort of shit. So after the preface, so after I was going to bed, I go in bed, and I got my dog Coco. So Coco likes to stay on the bed with me at night. She just kind of like rolls, she just kind of curls up by like my chest and she falls asleep. So both like obviously I'm dreaming. So this is the dream. This kind of starts off this whole thing. So I don't really remember much of my dream last night. I only remember the part that happened before I woke up and the really creepy shit started happening. So what happened was for some reason my family and I were in like Mexico, and we were sort of experiencing, like we were trying to do like I guess like a paranormal investigation type thing. Like we were paranormal investigators and we were checking out like I guess like Mexican like folklore or something like that. So well, one of the things related to it was the Island of the Dolls. I forgot what it was in Spanish, like Isla de something. But yeah, like one of the things, and it actually appeared in my dream near this library that we went to, which was also haunted. But we went to the library for like I guess research purposes and to check out the library. And yes, the dream was sort of stylized like one of those old ghost hunting shows, like Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures and stuff like that. Shows I haven't watched in years. And like, while I am sort of a fan of those shows, I kind of like the style of them and shit. It's just that it's like, whatchamacallit. I just haven't watched them in like several years' time now. So, so it kind of goes like this. Like, it's pretty much normal. I'm talking about like what's going down, what we're doing, and out of the blue, a quiet moment happens. That moment of silence just before like there's like this loud sort of like thing that's about to happen. And this, I should say that the library that I was in was very vivid. I guess like it was obviously somewhat modern architecture. There was like the wall near the doors, like that you'd walk into, like part of like this one room of the library had this sort of section that was all table. There was like a big long table with computers on it that was facing like the rows of books and shit like that, right? And what I was kind of getting from this was that like you walk in, see the books, and then the rows of books, the bookshelves and shit like that against the wall. So now this wasn't like so anyway, the quiet moment happens, like to explain. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like this quiet moment, just like done, like complete silence, and then all of a sudden, like you hear like this big fucking crash, and then someone screaming. And I remember looking into the room with the thing, the skylight and part of the ceiling collapsed, like sort of like, then the rest of the room started just sort of like tearing down and shit like that. I guess like the ghost or something that was in the library didn't want us there, or like didn't want people there. And I remember shouting at them to like leave the room calmly, don't run, like while like trying to get them to like relax, because structural integrity and all that shit. I didn't want the whole place collapsing. This was around the time where I woke up, and I didn't feel right. Like I was laying on my back, sort of on my back, sort of on my side, like facing the opposite direction where I fell asleep. So my bed faces a wall, and a more open spot faces a closet with a mirror on it. Right. The closet with the mirror is sort of blocked up. I don't like really have much. I can easily move the stuff out of the way, get in the closet if I need to grab like a piece of like I guess my suit or something like that. Because everyone has a fucking suit for like weddings or like formal parties and shit. But the point is that like if I need to get like a piece of clothing that's in the closet, just move the stuff out of the way, get it. So now I get up. I don't feel right. Like I'm out of my blanket. I was wrapped up in 3 blankets when I went to bed. I'm not now. And that's normal. I unravel myself from my blankets a lot. Like I am not a sound sleeper. I move around a lot. Understandable. So I am out of the blanket. I'm just kind of like laying on the bed, and I kind of realize like where like, I'm trying to get under the covers again because it's a bit chilly, and I'm like where's Coco? Coco's my dog who comes to sleep with me. She's a Chihuahua. So she is wrapped up in the blanket like multiple times over. She does not want to move. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to unravel her out of the blanket. I'm trying to get myself out of the blanket and other shit like that, right? But she does not want to move whatsoever. And I'm trying my damnedest to get her to get out of the, trying my damnedest to get her out of the blanket, and I'm trying to, get the blanket onto me because I'm cold and shit like that, right? So now here's where some shit kind of gets creepy. So Coco isn't acting like herself. So Coco's a very timid animal. Now here's the thing though. The whole time I was trying to get the blanket back on, she was very like aware, but she was still acting very timid. Like she wouldn't face the wall I was like laying sort of against. And she kept trying to turn herself around, and every time she got out of the blanket, she kept trying to force herself back under the blanket, like trying to, keep out of sight, right? This is when I kind of know, she's like real weird. But then this is when I kind of realized my heart was racing too. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? I'm trying to go back to sleep, but I can't really go back to sleep. Like I feel like something's wrong now, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck is this, right? I think in my head like, okay, something's not right. So I push Coco up towards like push her up towards my head, right? And I turn her, I kind of like forcibly turn her around, and I kind of hold her under my arm, and she's looking at me, I'm looking at her. She's trying to curl her head away from the wall. She's not trying to look at like sort of crease between the bed and the wall, and then she's trying not to look at like I guess past my pillow. Now, I'm like, all right. So she's trying to force herself back under the blanket. Whenever I kind of like loosen my like my hold on her, I guess, like I had my arm over her body, and she was kind of like trying to like get out. And I'm not even like trying to. I wasn't even trying to like hold sort of gentle like yeah. Now, she kind of stops. Eventually, right, and she starts looking at me, and she stops, and she eventually starts looking at the wall. Doesn't do anything, right? And I'm looking at her, and I'm thinking like, okay, what the fuck is wrong? Why is the dog freaking out this much about the walls and shit, right? And I'm thinking, then I sort of realized, wait a minute, why did I have that dream? I haven't done anything related to this dream. Like, I haven't watched like Ghost Hunters or anything like that in forever. I haven't like seen the freaking like I haven't seen Ghost Adventures or any of the other ghost hunting shows in forever. I haven't watched I haven't like done anything related to like that sort of thing. The closest thing I guess would be Fallout with like destroyed buildings and shit, but there's no collapsing buildings in Fallout or anything like that. Like in collapse, you know what I'm saying? So and I wasn't in the library area of Fallout in like several I guess months since I did one stream where we went there. Like I barely play games now at the time. I barely play games, so like I very barely only play them during the stream sometimes. Because whenever I do play games, never usually the stream games, and half the time like it's hard to keep track of files for that sort of thing. So I rarely play games that are related to the streams. So I am very much like freaked out now. I look at the TV for a second. And I kind of think like, okay, so if the TV's on, you know, think like, you know, maybe that's the whole case. And I should say this once again. Coco was aware, like she was like, she's a timid dog, but she goes in a defensive stance when, you know, someone's at the door she doesn't know, or like, you know, someone's in the house that she doesn't know. She'll perk her ears up, she'll bark at them, but she never like directly confronts them and shit like that, right? So the whole time she was like, she always had her ears up and like never lowered. She was always like, you know, it was like trying to look away. And I think, you know, she's prepared to like not, you know, she's prepared to like, you know, see whatever, you know, to like hear whatever's coming, but she's not like, you know, probably gonna attack it or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, what the hell's up with this dog? Now I'm looking at her, looking at this, and I kind of get this feeling like, oh shit, you know, maybe there is something in the room. So she's, you know, because ghosts can apparently be seen by dogs. Like dogs supposedly have a sixth sense or whatever. And like the funny thing about this is that, like, you know, she just want to look, and I'm just like, okay, there's probably something in the room with me that was like sort of, you know, influencing my dream or something like that. I have no fucking clue. I don't want to move, and I'm slowly getting freaked out. Like, I don't want to move or make like any sort of sounds that would like, you know, would indicate that I'm awake or anything like that. Maybe I'm like, or, you know, indicate that I'm conscious, I guess. So I'm thinking like, I'm not trying to think blank. I'm just thinking about like shit. I try to like think like, you know, I'm trying to think it should calm my nerves, and my heart is still racing and shit. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, you know, I'm getting this look at Coco. Coco's giving this look to me. Like, we're both like, all right. I think I'm kind of thinking we're both on the same page here that there's something wrong, and we're both trying to not make any form of noise to attract whatever might be in this room. So, oh god, eventually it gets to the point of like, what are we gonna do? And eventually Coco starts coughing. I don't know why she has like she's like, not bad respiratory problems, but she gets a cough sometimes, occasionally. That's, you know, dogs happen, like shit with dogs happen. So she starts coughing, and she doesn't stop coughing. And this is where she walks out of the blanket and on top of the blanket. I'm thinking like, okay, no. Like, I really don't know what her intention was. I hope it wasn't like, you know, she's gonna make a noise and try to draw it away to her. And I'm like thinking, oh shit, you know, like make it pay attention to her rather than me, or something like that. If there was something in the room. And I'm like thinking, okay, what the fuck do I do now, right? So I grab her, I pull her back under the blanket, I push her back towards me, and I'm thinking, okay, so this is where I should bring up what TV was. So I had a show on the television, and it was playing a Halloween episode of all things, and I'm thinking in my head like, oh god, watch this. This is like, this episode is going to be like this Halloween episode of the show is going to be like the last thing that plays on Hulu before it asks if I want to like if it asks if I'm still watching. I'm like, guess what? It does. And I'm like, fucking damn it. So here's the thing. I think to myself, all right. I don't want to be in a quiet room. I need to keep something to distract myself, right? So then I'm like, yeah, I get my mind off of this shit, which really happened. So I roll over onto my back a little bit. I reach my arm over to my desk, my sort of desk side. I have like a little side table, and I grab the little fire stick remote, and I throw on, you know, so yes, I'm still watching. It puts in the next episode, which is a Christmas episode. I'm thinking, oh god. Worst part of the Christmas episode is that it's silent, but mostly silent, and I'm just like, oh no, we're gonna get like weird imagery and silence and shit like that. It's gonna be fucking, this ain't helping me, man. This ain't helping me. And I'm like, oh god. So it's kind of funny when you think about it out of context, but it's kind of like, it's still freaky when you're in the moment, you know. So I'm like freaking out, like, oh shit, what the fuck is gonna happen? Right? And I'm just like, you know, what the hell am I gonna do? And I just like freak out, like I freak out internally. I'm like, oh god. So I start like, so I say, here's what I do. I pull Coco up to my shoulder. I have her sort of look. She's looking at the door of my room, like the exit and entrance of my room, the closet, with the mirror and everything like that. And I'm trying to look at the TV and look at the door a little bit. I'm just trying to sort of gauge my like room here, right? And the next thing I sort of think about, I'm thinking like a quarter of my eye, I think I see movement and shit, and I don't want to think about that. It's dark. I'm like, oh god. So I start saying to myself like, now I've never had a formal talk with like a spirit medium, and I honestly think a lot of them are just kind of like bullshit. But like some people in my family have had experiences where mediums just walk up to them out of like, or people, so I guess like they are mediums, but they walk up to them in public and say like, like blah blah blah, your husband is watching you from wherever he is, like from above or whatever. And I thought about that a second, and I'm thinking like, okay, what the fuck. And so I started thinking about my grandmother, because my mom had an encounter with that, said that her mother was watching over my grandmother, and I'm thinking like, I'm thinking of my grandfather, I'm thinking of my grandfather too. I'm thinking, okay, grandma, grandpa, grandma. It's like, I'm thinking grandma, grandma, grandma. I'm repeating in my head over and over. I'm thinking grandma, 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 grandma. Right? I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just repeating in my head. I'm saying grandma, 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 grandma in my head over and over. And I'm saying grandpa, 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 grandpa. And then I start thinking of other sort of heroic characters and shit like that. Like, like for example, I'm thinking Link, Samus, Galen Marek, Obi-Wan Kenobi, shit like that. I'm just thinking about all this shit. And I look at Coco. Coco's like freaking out a little bit. She's like, trying to turn her head away from like all the places. I put her head up. When I put her head back up, she just turned away too. I'm thinking, okay. So I look at Coco and I'm thinking at her. I'm thinking, looking at Coco and I'm going, like, all right. I was like, we are safe. I'm saying in my head, I'm saying we are safe. Nothing can get us in this room. Nothing can get us in this house. And I'm thinking about like my grandmother. I'm thinking about my grandfather. I'm thinking about all of like these sort of heroes, and I'm saying we are safe, we are protected in this house, there's nothing that can get us, we are safe here, we are safe right now. And I'm thinking of Coco. I'm looking at Coco. I say, Coco, I'm saying in my head, Coco, I know you're small, but you're like a Jack Russell. and I'm like thinking, all right, I just gotta last until something happens, like until I guess my door opens for whatever reason. And I'm thinking like, oh god, because and by the way, I had work today too, so I'm thinking like, oh god, I'm up like long before work. This ain't right. This is not right. I'm just sitting in my bed awake, trying to not fall asleep, trying to like keep awake, and trying to like get this sort of thing out of my system, whatever this was, trying to like get it out of my room, get the thoughts of. So I'm thinking like that, right. Next thing you know, I get a sort of wake up call. And I get a wake up call, and it's like, all right, this is when I get up. The door, like, get a wake up call. I open as soon as I open the door, Coco just fucking bolts out of the room. She's just gone. And like, I'm just like freaked out by that, right? Now, once again, I should say, I'm just freaked out by this, and I'm just like, what the hell? The wake up call is like, that's my moment of get the fuck out of bed now. Get out of bed, leave the room. And I left the room, and I'm like, good, right? So I say to this sort of thing, like, I've had weird experiences like that. I've had weird experiences, but like I've gotten a picture of a ghost. I've gotten I've gotten a picture of ghosts. I've gone like ghost hunting before and shit like that, but it's it's in the past, very much so, like I've been to sort of air quotes haunted places and stuff like that, right? Where I'm thinking like, okay, this is gonna be interesting or whatever the fuck. And it sort of is, it is interesting for the most part. But I don't I don't really think anything of it. And it's happened a long while ago that it's not really on my mind. So what's my whole deal with it? Well, nothing really. I have no clue what happened. Like, we have the dream, I can't really pin it on you. Even I've had premonition dreams before where I've seen stuff go down, and I think I think oh yeah, this is like a whatever, ain't it? What's the best word I'm looking for? Shit, I can't think. but basically, you know, I've had premonition dreams before where I'm thinking like, okay, um, where I've seen something, I guess, from the future, and then it happens. Like, it's hard to explain that type of dream. It's hard to explain those types of dreams because it's just like, oh yeah, you see a perception of, like, I guess the future, and then it just kind of happens. I'm not trying to say I'm like an empath, telepath, or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, I've seen like little slivers, and then, you know, you get that sort of deja vu feeling, I guess is the best way to put it, right? So I've had this happen multiple times. I've had that happen multiple times, and I highly doubt that that dream was a premonition dream, as my family has, like, you know, no plans of going to Mexico at any time soon, or, you know, performing like a sort of I guess ghost hunting sort of thing, especially with the way my family is. Yeah, not a lot of them are into that sort of thing, and they're very much a more religious sect than, you know, like, open about sort of stuff too. But that's just besides the point. Um, but yeah, I really don't know what to make of that, and honestly, I do think that there was. It's just it's just, again, this is just because of my, like, sort of spiritual, like, my spiritual thoughts, is that, like, yeah, I do think that there was something in the room with me, but whatever it was, I somehow managed to keep it by thinking positive and keeping my mind off of, like, it trying to kill me, and yeah, or trying to, like, you know, influence my dream or anything like that. And that's kind of besides the point. Like, it's just kind of like, you know, it was just my weird experience this, like, I guess this morning, night, whatever the hell it was. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's just sort of a discussion starter and or a discussion ender. You know, can't really, like, make heads or tails of it, and it's just kind of like, you know, what it is. It's just kind of what it is. You know. Like, hopefully I'll get, like, I don't know, maybe some form of answer. It was probably like, it's probably just like a, like, and I'm more of like the type who, I'm just gonna say this too, I'm more of like the type who, like, oh, what's a good explanation for what's a good explanation for all of, like, these events? Like, it just happened to be a coincidence involving this one thing and this other thing happening at once. Like, it sort of feels like this sort of like, to me, that sort of ideas kind of come off as, like, I guess, close-minded. Like, you know, it close-minded in a sense of, like, you know, yeah, you want to stick to scientific facts about everything, but sometimes, like, I think that facts can, like, completely like, the scientific facts or something like that can outweigh a situation like this, or, like, there's something like this. It's just like, how, you know, how this is defiance of something weird, you know. I put it to you like this, right? Like, the coincidences are so much to the point, it makes no sense. Like, to quote an episode of SpongeBob, it, like, the episode with the hash slinging slasher, SpongeBob says to Squidward, "I can't believe that you dress up as a ghostly fry cook and stand on the other side of the road just to entertain me." Even though it's clearly not a, you know, even though it's clearly supposed to be, like, the real deal and shit like that, right? Like, oh fuck, that was now that is truly scary. But it's just like, you know, I've had experiences, like I said, where I say, like, something and then it happens, like when I'm playing Fallout or whatever. But that's, like, you know, that's neither here nor there. It's either I know the game too much and, like, haha, you know, it happens. It's just like, you know, I could, like, you know, I know the game so much I could predict something happening, or, like, RNG being, like, pissy, or as I put it, Molestia. Oh fuck, Celestia being Trollestia. Those fucking old comics, man, are fucking crazy. But the point is that, like Celestia being Trollestia at points. But the whole case in point is I am very much, you know, it's very much creepy. But yeah, that's besides the point, you know. Like, it's all down to, like, that sort of thing. It's all down to, like, you know, what the person experienced versus what the whole case in point is. But that's kind of it, you know. And what I experienced was what I experienced, and I hope it doesn't come off as, like, you know, that sort of I hope it doesn't come off as like, oh, Merrick's crazy, Merrick's crazy. No, it's just kind of like, we have experiences that we can't really explain, or we're having trouble trying to find meaning in what happened, but it'll all make sense in time. You know what I'm saying? We'll all eventually find out what we're up to and that sort of shit. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for checking out this video. I guess it means a lot to me. I did not expect to go on for like a half an hour about this, but wow, I just looked at the timer of it. But yeah, that's kind of it. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you all later. Merrick out. See you guys tonight for some more Saints Row 4. Later.